Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm glad to be able to come to you again, another video. Good news. Looks like things are going to start loosening up. Looks like we're going to start being able to get back together sooner than what we thought. As far as what that looks like and details of that, guys, we'll have that coming out later. In probably a couple weeks, we'll figure that out and what that looks like as far as us getting together and meeting. A couple things I do want to talk to you about. We're still having camp. Guys, signups are open this week and it'll be open till next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, camp signups close down, so we will not be able to. So if you want to come to camp, you want to sign up after the next Wednesday, that probably won't happen. So if you haven't signed up for camp yet, make sure you get online, eaglesky.camp, and then go into login and then fill stuff out. And then make sure you message me, shoot me a message, let me know that you signed up so I can call them and get you put into our group and everything situated and figured out, okay? Awesome. Tonight, I'm excited to come to you guys. We're continuing our dating series. We're continuing talking about what it means to date someone. As you remember, last video we talked about dating being defined as someone who you have an interest in, and you have an interest in wanting to be more than just friends with them, more than just you hang out every now and then, or you see them at school, or whatever. You have an interest. You want to be emotionally invested in them. Last week, just real quick recap, we talked about how instead of trying to find the right person, we need to make sure we are being the right person, and make sure that our heart's in the right place, and our focus and our mentality, it's all in centered and focused on Jesus instead of focused on the other person or focusing on ourselves. So this week, I'm excited about. I'm glad to be talking about this stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about how do we handle when we become attracted or we have an interest in somebody else, right? So before we get into it, I want you guys to think about what's the last song you got stuck in your head? Everybody has that song. Anytime I think of that, I always think of the movie Inside Out, and they have the double mint gum portion playing. But we have a song sometimes that gets stuck in our head, and it just goes over and over and over and over and over. And it feels like we're interested in that song at first, right? Sometimes we may like that song, but then have you ever played a song so much you just hate it, right? You just become so it just doesn't ever go away. Some of us are like that with songs. Some of us are like that with shows, right? Have you ever binge watched a Netflix show? Have you ever binge watched a show just from season 1 to season 12? That's more than just having an interest in it, right? That's more of borderline an obsession. And so today we need to ask ourselves a question: how do we know that something is moving from an interest, like we're interested in something, to it becoming an obsession, right? Because we can all agree, I think we can all agree and all say that having an interest is good, and it's a good thing, and it's a healthy thing, and it's supposed to happen. But when it becomes an obsession, that's when there can be issues, right? Have you ever known somebody obsessed with something? You ever have a friend who's just obsessed with a certain thing? It kind of drives you crazy, doesn't it? I know it does me too. But dating can become that way, in a couple different ways. If we are dating somebody, we can have it can grow from having an interest and wanting to know someone on a deeper level to becoming obsessed with them. And it can also be where maybe we're not dating somebody, maybe we don't have anybody, but then we're obsessed with the idea of having somebody. We don't think we're complete. We don't think we're good enough. We don't think there's anything better than just being with somebody else or having this certain person. No, the cool thing about it is we get to look at what the Bible says, right? Last week we talked about preparing the ground, and we looked at preparing the yard before you build a house, right? Because that makes sense. Well, tonight we're going to look at Ephesians chapter 5. And this is what it says in Ephesians 5, verses 15. It says, "Be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days." Now, it's kind of crazy to think about because, the Bible talks about evil days, and we look at what's going on right now, and as you guys know, we're in a lovely pandemic, and people kind of act a little crazy, and sometimes people can get obsessed with that. But that's not exactly what this is talking about right here, thankfully. Now, what it's actually talking about is Paul is writing this letter to let the people that he's talking to. He's reminding them, saying, "Hey, look, make the most of every opportunity you have. Be careful how you live." Now, he's cautioning them. He's letting them know, "Hey, look, there's some things that you could do. There's some ways you could act. There's some ways you could live. But don't do that because they may not be beneficial to you. They may not help you. They may not be good for you." So Paul is letting these people know, hey, look, don't live like fools. Be like those who are wise. Now, I think we can all agree. I think we have somebody in our mind when we hear the word wise. Now, what does wisdom mean? Does it mean being smart? Does it mean having lots of knowledge or being really intelligent? Well, yes, but have you ever met someone who's just so smart but so dumb in the same way? So being wise is about having the knowledge and then acting on it and then using it in a way that's beneficial and helpful for your life. So when the Bible talks about us being wise, that means we need to look at situations and when we see, okay, this is the way that I should do this, or this is the way I should react, then we do it. Act on that. Do things that way, because when we do it that way, we're being wise. If we know what we should do and we don't do it, then we're kind of being pretty dumb. And that's, like I said, that's what the Bible says, not me. So it's interesting to look at here when he says, pay attention to what you do. Now, what does this mean for dating, right? How does this apply to us, specifically when we're talking about dating? Well, what that means, guys, is that we can look at stuff and we can see a person and want to be closer to them and want to get to know them on a deeper, more emotional level. But if we allow that interest to move into an obsession, that's where it can become harmful. Now, how do we recognize that, right? How do we recognize when something is moving from an interest into an obsession? Well, I think some of the things we need to look at ourselves is we also need to look at our friends and stuff going on in our life. Because if we have an interest in somebody, and then we start noticing our friends and our family members not wanting to be around us, or there's certain things that are being neglected, like our grades start hurting, or if we're in a sport, or if we're in some kind of activity and we're not as involved in that anymore, that interest in that because of that other person, that interest in that other person is kind of turning into an obsession. And suddenly, so when we're neglecting our friends and we're neglecting the world around us, right? Our world around us, our friends, our other interests, the things that we enjoy doing, that's when that interest is becoming an obsession. And sometimes it takes, a friend, sometimes it takes a family member, sometimes it takes something to happen for us to recognize that. So what should we do, right? Well, first and foremost, get a life. That's obviously a joke, but in all seriousness, yes, get a life. We should understand that there is more to life than just being with somebody, than just dating somebody and having that emotional connection and having that deeper connection with a single person. There's more to life than just that. And I think when we recognize that and we come to terms with that, and maybe we some of us may need to chew on that for a little bit. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, there's more to life than just being with this one person. That's my whole life. Maybe we need to reevaluate then. Maybe you need to look back at your relationship and go, okay, this person has become an obsession. I don't really want to get rid of this person. I don't want to separate myself from this person, but maybe we need to put some boundaries up, right? Boundaries in a relationship are very, very healthy and very, very good, and can help us stay away from that obsession. Then it stays an interest, and it stays a healthy, good thing. Boundaries help keep us there. They help when we get to a point and we're going, nope, we had a boundary. That's telling us, okay, if we go any farther, then we're going to be in a place we don't want to be in, and we're going to be stuck in a place we don't want to be in. So maybe it's you reevaluate the relationship you're in. Maybe you need to take a hard look at your own life and go, man, I have been neglecting these things, or you know what, this person has become an obsession. And maybe it's time you start putting in some boundaries to kind of help you get back into a healthy relationship with that person and with the rest of your life. The third thing is if you aren't dating somebody, right? So if you are dating somebody, maybe you need to relook at your relationship. Maybe you need to relook at that and go, okay, maybe I need to put up some boundaries to help me stay within a healthy relationship. And if you aren't in a relationship, but maybe you've been wanting to be in one so badly that you've kind of forgotten about everything else, well, maybe now's a good time to look back at your own life and think about and start working on some of those other interests you have. Because here's the cool thing about it, guys, is that one thing we can understand is that we meet other new people through our interests, right? And we don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have any of the same interests we do. That's kind of miserable. So if you aren't dating somebody, maybe we need to relook at what our interests are, what our life is, what we like doing, what we enjoy doing, and maybe we need to take that and run with that. Because guys, dating is not that's not the goal in life, is to date somebody or to get married to somebody. That's not the end all be all when it comes to life. There is more to life than dating somebody. And if you are dating somebody, there's more to than just dating that person. Guys, I'm glad to be able to come together and talk about these things. I hope and pray that you guys are doing well. I'm excited to get back together as soon as we can. Guys, I'm excited about camp. We're still going to camp. So if you guys have questions or need anything, please let me know. See ya.